Is it working now? I think. I think it's working. All right, just had a bug now on OBS when I was trying to go live. I believe it's working now. I think everyone can see me, everyone can hear me, and you can also see my monitor, my screen, this guys. So it's perfect. So happy Sunday. Hope you guys have had a good weekend, a great week as well. So welcome. So since our last stream on Thursday, now that we started to do this series of pre-market analysis, mainly the goal is to look for the best A+ setups for the day, for next day, right? So again, one of the struggles that many traders have is with consistency. They may find good opportunities, they may make money here and there, but because of the lack of consistency, then they keep skipping trades. They don't, they stop analyzing the bigger picture. They are not aware of exactly where the best opportunities are, and that lead eventually to small losses that were unnecessary, just because of lack of awareness in the bigger picture, or they can manage to or end up missing some good trades as well, because they are not aware of those levels that you are only aware if you actually do the analysis, if you actually put in the work to realize where they are. So we did started now that series. So every day at 7:30 p.m. UK time, we are going live to look for the A+ setups. In this stream, as you know, it's more into what to expect for the week. So it's more of a higher time frame analysis in here. Again, we go around dollar index, the indices, commodities, and the FX pairs as well. So yeah, feel free to join, feel free to ask to comment and mention any level that you're looking for or any asset that you want me to analyze in detail. That's the goal. So let's take a look at what to expect for the week ahead, which is going to be busy. Last week it was busy as well, but in terms of news, it was not related to the dollar. It was more in the ECB. For example, we had ECB interest rate in the Eurozone, which was, it remained the same as it was expected. It was actually one of the most boring ECB press conferences that I remember in terms of market movement. Not saying that Christine Lagarde is boring, just in terms of the market movement. In here, we also had quite a few news in the UK with CPI, unemployment, and retail sales. And that's why there was actually a little bit more movement also on the UK pairs and the pound. And this week it resumes a little bit the news for the US. So taking a look at the calendar, we have on Wednesday, it's going to be a busy day. We have another day with manufacturing and services PMI on the same day. So usually these days they lead to quite good volatility in the market. So it's going to be interesting to see where the market is going to be by Wednesday. It can either be a new cycle or a momentum for a couple of days in here. So it can lead into a reversal, for example, or just gaining more momentum. And we have also interest rate in Canada, which is going to be quite interesting, because if you have followed the previous streams, you know that I've been looking for shorts on the CAD pairs. I mentioned especially on the Euro CAD and the Pound CAD, and that's exactly kind of what played out since the middle of the week. And this can be one of the confirmations that reversal may occur. Again, the market's expecting a rate cut. Not entirely sure if that's going to happen or not. That will mean that it will be the second rate cut since the Bank of Canada started with rate cuts. We'll see if that's going to happen or not in here. And then we have GDP in the US. So let's see what to expect from Q2. And then we have Core PCE on Friday. Right? And basically that's the end of the month. It's not going to be the end of the month, because until the end of the month we still have on the 31st we have FOMC meeting. But there you go. It's a little bit more related to the US in terms of news, and we also have the continuation of the earnings season in the US. So that's always a factor or catalyst that can affect the indices which they had a big turnaround again, as we were expecting as well. And we mentioned that, I think, even during the previous weekly live stream, or at least on the daily live stream that we've been doing, that was the clue as well in there. So yeah, let's take a look at the dollar index, right? So basically price started the week, or last week, it was somewhere in here, right? I think that was where we finished last week. And we mentioned that we were looking for this dollar index to break these lows. That was the target, or that was the expectation. At this point, this demand zone was weak, and we were looking for price to move down. It first retraced back into this highs to retest basically this range in here. It never broke the level, so this didn't happen. It just respected the last supply level that was in there, and then eventually created the momentum to push to the downside. And from here, basically, there were one of the first levels to pay attention to was actually this one. We mentioned that as well. There was literally a demand zone in here. Price basically goes up, pauses, and then pushes to the upside again. So that would make sense as a first level to expect the dollar index to react from. Now, one of two things would happen from there, right? Basically, price would retest and kind of react from there, retest and push lower, or it would start creating some PI to eventually turn to the upside. Now, in the bigger picture, we need to realize that this is actually an to downside, right? So basically, price now broke these lows, broke that low as well. Price had respect to that level. So if in the bigger picture, we may still look at the potential continuation on the dollar index. It may not be from here, or price may actually go slightly higher, or maybe in the bigger spectrum, we're going to have finally now this moment where we have a bigger turn, and now maybe price will fake out all the way until these highs in here before moving down. Now that's still a long way to go until that scenario plays out in terms of actually targeting now these highs. I think before that we definitely have something in here that the dollar index can still use before aiming to go all the way to the upside in there. So that's just something to bear in mind. Again, in the bigger picture, the level on the dollar index may not be that interesting, sorry. In here, yeah, price could even go slightly lower, and in my opinion, it's still a reason to go slightly lower. So I'm going to be curious, of course, to see how price may react around this level of supply in here. We do have these left shoulders in there. Price starts to compress in here, so we'll see how price may react from this level. If not, there you go. If not, price will just maybe fake out these highs and start aiming to go slightly more to the upside, and we'll see what's going to happen after that. On the other hand, if price still wants to continue to go higher at this point, this level looks good. Price basically created this demand zone in here, created momentum, and never really retested that level. So that's definitely a level to pay attention to in here. By any chance, if you're looking for any shorts in here, somewhere around this low in here can be an initial target. Okay, price can maybe, wait a second, price can maybe react from somewhere in here, then in there, and then we still have this level as well, which may still be fresh. Like the way price moved away from here, it was not my favorite. Price in this case, actually, it was compressing until finally gained the momentum. And this moment of compression, it was actually during that ECB press conference, I believe, that price, instead of just creating the momentum as usually happens during an ECB press conference, it was just in a compressing way until finally in the evening it started gaining momentum and going to the upside, while the euro dollar actually did the opposite and eventually just pushed lower in there. So yes, I'm going to be curious to look at this level. Dollar index is retracing a little bit after a full kind of 2 weeks, 3 weeks of moving to the downside, and these are key levels in here to pay attention in here. So I'm going to be interested to see how price may react from here. We can even fake out these highs, retrace a little bit. Maybe these highs can start showing a little bit of intention to go slightly higher, maybe then retest this level and push higher. So yes, I'm going to be interested to see what kind of PA we are going to have around these highs in here on the dollar index. Yeah, so that's basically one of the levels to look for. In here, again, bigger picture, I do still think that this can continue to move lower. We're going to take a look at the euro dollar, which can also provide some clues as well of what to expect maybe from this level in here. Jumping into the indices, right? And this was something that we were looking for, because last week when we had the PPI numbers, we had this low, and we mentioned that part, like we mentioned that this low in here, this was an engulf to downside. I may do a video on explaining what type of engulfs or breaks of lows or highs. Usually they become one of, like, they are the most clear kind of engulfs, or if it is just a fake out. And these ones, when virtually price is ranging in here, and if price has the intention to just go higher and actually go higher and not really moving to downside, in my opinion, there's absolutely no need to make this push in here. Price can easily just maybe fake out these lows, but still respect this structure in the air and respect this structure in there. Even if it is just to collect liquidity, whatever, can just use it in here. Of course, this is to collect liquidity, but how is the liquidity being collected and what happens after that? That was a big clue that price actually was giving an indication that starts to thinking about moving to the downside. It was exactly the same thing on NASDAQ, and there was no retest of this level as well to validate actually this level as a bullish scenario. It was actually more of a bearish, even though, as you can see, price actually moved to the upside. So that happened, and since then we started to look for a potential sell in here on the S&P. We mentioned that most likely these highs could still be faked out. Price starts to compress in here, respecting this level, until eventually end up turning. And as long as this demand zone was actually fresh, and as you can see, this one never reacted from it, this one never reacted from it, that one never reacted from it. As long as we have a clear demand zone like this that is still fresh, that becomes a great target to aim for. Initially, just to look for the sell in here. So that even validates or gives more confidence to actually look for a short at this, at whatever PA you get eventually to short it, because you have a clear target, a high probability level that price wants to retest. Even if price from here wants to resume to move to the upside and not exactly respect this engulf down, even that it would still create a good there's enough space in here to have good risk reward in this type of setup. So actually, in terms of A+ setups, that will be one of the first things to look at, is actually what space is available that price wants to get there in terms of high probability setup. And then you can start looking for ways to participate on that move. So there you go, price moved to downside, respected this level for a while, and then eventually end up respecting the other one, create a little bit of a range in here, created more manipulation, and it pushed lower. And basically it's the third consecutive bearish move in here. It's been already a big move down, as you can see in here. Just basically that week or this week, basically moved to downside 3%, NASDAQ almost 5% just this week. And there you go. Meanwhile, everything or almost all of it has been compressed, and all of a sudden we are at this lower edge in here where we're going to be looking for NASDAQ to S&P, sorry, to get closer to this level. And yeah, we'll see what's going to happen next. Like, again, one more thing in terms of the indices, like, so as I mentioned, I think last week, one thing that created as a catalyst for this bottom that we had back in October 2022, it was actually CPI data that we had, which was actually a negative CPI data. So it was actually a higher than expected CPI data that it should have pushed price to downside, but instead just made an initial move down, and then price ended up actually closing the day positive. And since then, since that CPI data, price actually started moving to the upside. Right? So it's basically a news that was negative and that should have pushed price continue to move to the downside, since price has been bearish basically for the full year in 2022, but it was actually a moment of change, a reverse in there. So it was a negative number that the market didn't really look at it as negative, and for some reason it started to go higher. And it's exactly similar to what's going to happen, what's going on in here. The last CPI data, which was last week, it was actually somewhere in here. In this case, it's not the high on the S&P, but it's still the high on NASDAQ. It was a better than expected in terms of lower than expected CPI data, so that should have been a positive news for the market. The market reacted positively in the first instance, but then it actually moved to the downside in there. So again, it's a positive news that market is moving in the opposite side, that usually starts kind of to give the sensation of the feeling that something is not right in here when something like that happens. And there you go. Market sentiment may be changing. Let's see if this week confirms that movement or not, another bearish week or not, or if by any chance this was just a small retracement, as we have so many at this point during this period that we have moving down, and price eventually is going to resume the move to the upside and eventually create new all-time highs. So what I'm expecting for this week, first and foremost on the S&P, looking to see how price may react from these lows, if it's respected or not, and then you have straight away kind of another level in there. But what I'm also expecting is for price to eventually retrace back into some range in there. Okay, again, can even go slightly higher if it wants to, but I'm looking for price to create some kind of level in here. We call it the zone 2 type of a move. So basically this could be the zone 4, kind of the first zone, which is kind of the reversal. And now we are looking eventually for price to create some structure somewhere in there. It may take a few days, may take even this full week of price moving or eventually retracing before confirming. Either confirms or actually does the opposite and continues now the bullish move. So it's going to be interesting. That's kind of what I'm going to be looking for in here. Depends the direction of what to expect in here, because eventually there's going to be some kind of manipulation here. Maybe price breaking highs or price breaking lows, and eventually it's going to either go higher or eventually go lower. And one of the clues is where actually this low is going to be reacting from. Okay, if this low maybe reacts somewhere in there, but basically breaks this structure, it's reacting from something in here and then goes higher without reacting from anything relevant on the left side, that may actually signal an engulf down. Therefore, then around here you can maybe look for that continuation. If price by any chance is already respecting something important, for example, maybe price actually respects this demand zone in here and starts moving higher, maybe then the tendency can be to just go even more to the upside. So that's going to be one of the key things that I'm going to be looking in here at the indices, is whatever is going to happen around this level and where actually that low is going to be reacting from before price actually has that retracement, which I'm expecting that retracement to occur. I'm not really expecting for price to just literally die like this. Like, that's usually not how it happens with reversals. Price at least tends to retrace, to have some kind of retracement before moving down. And you have in here NASDAQ, right? So NASDAQ, as I mentioned, that was the high created during the last CPI data, basically 10 days ago already. And there you go. This is a little bit of a zone 2 type of a move that I mentioned. Okay, in S&P we actually had a little bit more highs, and then price may still react or may retrace, but it's a little bit more of that zone 2 type of a move where we have literally the manipulations in here being created. So we had that move down, price actually breaks the structure. There you go, the same engulf that I mentioned with the PPI, and in here price actually started to move to downside earlier than the S&P. So there you go. At this point we'll see what's going to happen, expecting price to continue to maybe go slightly lower. Again, it was quite negative this week. NASDAQ, let me just actually take a look into here, right? Basically around 6%, more than 6% move to the downside this week alone. So that's interesting. It's quite aggressive in here. And there's, as you can see, like we had all this compression, basically price went already all the way through. And there's maybe a continuation of more room to the downside in here. And let's see, price doesn't even want to go all the way back into this value in here, 18,500 or something like that. We have a little bit of this structure. Price can eventually fake out these levels, get closer to here, and yeah, we'll see. Now we have definitely a few days big bearish candles in here, so we may be expecting some retracement before potentially continue to move to the downside in there. And yes, maybe something in there can be a target to aim for this move. To the downside. And then you have Dow as well, right? So Dow broke that level. We actually talked about this one last week, like the triangle that Miguel actually mentioned. We had the expansion, and now we have actually finally Dow following the same trajectory as the S&P and NASDAQ and pushing to the downside as well. That was a pity. I was about to short the top literally in there. There was no retracement for me to get into trade when it turned. It is what it is. And the move to downside, which was a natural target to aim for, which is the retest always of this previous level of support resistance. Basically, these all-time highs. There's a tendency that for price to eventually retest that level, and that can always be a target. In this case, it's even better because the more the price actually moves away from that level, eventually can provide with a even better sell opportunity in here, right? Because all of a sudden you have maybe all this range to fill in there. So perfect. Now we are there. We are reacting now from this level. We definitely have something in here to look for on the Dow. So that's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen somewhere in there. Otherwise, price can start breaking below, and all of a sudden we are moving even lower towards this level. I'm expecting the same thing as in the S&P, which is to see how price may react somewhere in there. So I'm expecting for some kind of manipulation around this level. Price can definitely still maybe retrace even a bit more deeper into here, and the same thing as I mentioned on the S&P, it depends where maybe these lows are going to be reacting from, to expect to see if there's actually a break of some structure that leads for price to go further down, or price actually is reacting from a good level, and therefore then we may go all the way and eventually target the highs one more time. So that's going to be exactly the same perspective in here on the Dow, and DAX as well kind of retested all the way there. I was actually looking for price to take out that level, it didn't, and then just moved to the downside. You can react a little bit from here, and eventually can actually move to the downside as well. This low is already kind of a good break between this structure, and eventually we can resume. Again, first and foremost, we definitely need to break these lows in here before even aiming to go there. But if you do break these lows, yes, I think the space is open for price then to fill all of it in here, and eventually can even break below that and go and create new lows from there. But this week, first and foremost, let's see how price may react from this level in here on the DAX. All right, so that's basically the indices. Crypto resumed the move to the upside, so it managed to break above it. So crypto total market had already broken some structure, Bitcoin as well. It kept respecting this structure in here, not really managing to break new lows, at least those important lows, and now it's actually holding to the upside. So broke the highs and it's holding this level in there. Curious just to see how price may eventually react from there. Otherwise, price is on its way to potentially challenge the highs again. So we'll see how price eventually going to navigate towards there. Yeah, just curious to see what's going to happen there. We actually left this level behind as well, so price can even come back in here and just continue to push higher. So that's always what you want to see as well. When you're moving upwards, it's good actually to have some levels of demand left behind, which can still, even if you break some initial lows, we can still use that structure to push one more time to the upside. So that's what you want to look for as well in here, in terms of a bullish momentum. BTC, same story, right? Broke the highs, holding this level, and now looking for price to navigate more to the upside. You can one more time some kind of reaction from here, just above those highs, can pick out its level, react something from there, and there you go. It looks like that this level is holding on BTC. So yep, we'll see if this summer we're going to resume or not the momentum and break new all-time highs. Ethereum, it was still respecting a little bit that high, but now it broke. I can manage to finally break that level. I'm curious about this level. This level looked fresh in here, so we can have a little bit of a reaction around this structure. Maybe create a little bit of range in here. We may have something like that, and then this is the range at this point we're going to be looking for. So everything is a bit compressed in here, and yeah, basically price end up respecting, and that was the level that we're looking for. So price end up respecting these lows in there, and yes, now that's a level to look for in here. I'm curious about this level, and yeah, so somewhere in there Ethereum could bounce a little bit, and then if it breaks above this level, then you go all the way. You start looking for price to go somewhere closer to this level in there. So that's Ethereum. It may continue to go slightly higher before maybe have a little bit of a range, and it can play around between this level again. All right, so now moving into the currency indices and starting with the Euro index, which was actually one of the main pairs that we were looking for this week. All right, so that's a little bit of what you're looking for in here. So as I mentioned on Monday, last Sunday as well, we had this high, right? That's basically where price closed for last week. We had this high in here, and I mentioned that I would like to see this high being faked out. Initially, we created a double top in there. So we had a double top, which was perfect, and then you had that fake out happening during the week until eventually price started breaking the lows, and with the ECB, it tried to move a bit more to the downside. Now, this Euro index has been quite interesting this week because, as you can see, it was ranging a lot, and sometimes the reason for price to move down or for this one to move to the downside was actually mostly because of the Euro Yen and the negative move to the downside that we had on the Euro Yen, especially in the beginning of the week, because there was some Euro pairs that were actually moving to the upside, Euro CAD, Euro Aussie, even Euro Dollar a little bit, and Euro Yen, and Euro Index was already moving down. So there was a little bit of a mixed data in here, or movement between the Euro pairs. It's not that often that you have this type of move, especially on the week when you have ECB and interest rate, but it is what it is. So it was not exactly that much focused on the euro. Basically everything was priced in already. Even the speech from Christine Lagarde, there was nothing new in there. Actually, one point that she mentioned was about the ECB not being data point kind of focused or obsessed. Someone asked what kind of numbers would the Christine Lagarde like to see before making a decision to rate cuts again. In this case, like what level exactly on the inflation or unemployment and so on. And she mentioned that we are not obsessed with data points. We want to see a tendency of these indices, this data moving in one direction, but not exactly obsessed with a specific data point. So that's basically actually the key takeaway from the meeting in there. So at this point, this level can still be interesting. We do have a supply in there. We did manage to start breaking some lows. So if price wants, maybe can retest a little bit this level, but we did manage to break and basically almost retest this level. So this can be a little bit of a bullish setup. One thing that I've mentioned already in regards to this Euro index is the fact that these levels in here, they are not that fresh. Okay, so price can eventually retest them and hold for a moment, but they are not exactly, there's nothing in here standing out to me that tells me, yes, this level is super fresh, it's super clean, and there's a high probability that price will just react from it, and from there is going to go all the way. No, that's not exactly the case. Price is respecting that high. Okay, it could slightly go higher, but none of them is standing out screaming as a level that I would love to short from. It's going to be mostly related to PA and to see how price may react from those levels. It can fake out the high, it can bounce again to the downside a little bit, as well as can just literally go all the way and actually take this high and maybe turn only after that. And in this case, then you need to look left to see where the other high is reacting to on the left side. So, but yes, first and foremost, let's see how price may react from within this level to see if there's another push down to the downside or not from here. And then we have the yen index, right? And the yen index was one that we started to slowly look for some kind of retracements. We had that push to the upside, and then you're looking eventually for price to start turning a little bit. Right, so price was approaching one of these levels. Initially, could have been something in here or a little bit in this level. So this previous level support resistance in here, basically filling out this compression that we had, and that's where this yen index, end up reacting from. Normal target after this move to downside is basically just retesting this previous level, right? So any sales in here, basically price reacted as expected from that level. Then you do have this demand zone as well in here. Now there's maybe still this level in here that is still fresh, so price basically paused in there with this double top. Maybe there's this extreme within this supply level that price can still react from, and that's something to pay attention to. And again, of course, the other levels are going to be somewhere in here that we can pay attention to as well. So let's see what the yen index is going to do in between these levels. The yen pairs have been quite in alignment, and this alignment can start to stop, can start to diverge a little bit in here. So we may have finally maybe the euro, yen, pound yen, and so on start moving in one direction, and the dollar, yen, and so on starting to move in another direction. For the last basically 10 days or so, they have been quite in alignment in terms of movement on the yen pairs. So yes, within this range, let's see how price may react from here. It can definitely still go higher, but yes, let's see what's going to happen in here. Yeah, so that's in terms of the indices. So let's take a look now at the individual currency pairs to look for some trading opportunities in here. So euro dollar, right? So this is another one that you're looking for. We're looking for euro dollar to eventually break out these highs and even continue to go slightly higher towards the other level in there. Now, one thing in terms of the euro dollar is where actually the high reacted from this week, right? And that's actually a really good level on the daily time frame. This week in here was still fresh. That high never reacted from it. On the daily time frame, that's a really interesting and good high where eventually price reacted from. However, in the bigger picture as well, this is basically a level of compression from this high all the way until there. Even though we had this one that was fresh, that breaking this high in here kind of opens the door for price to go higher and eventually start targeting a little bit more of this level. So what happened for the last couple of days on euro dollar? Maybe just a retracement before price resuming the move to the upside, which then could lead also eventually the yen index also to break or to continue to move to downside and respecting that break of a low. So for that to happen, somewhere in here, euro dollar should be reacting and pushing to the upside. At this point, you are still respecting this low. So basically, that's the last low that created that move. We can even fake out slightly this low, get into this demand zone in there. So that's still valid as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what or the way that euro dollar is going to be reacting from here. And as an extreme, that level can also work in here, which is basically the previous level in there that we managed to break. We do have that demand zone in there that maybe it's still fresh underneath these lows within this level. So those are just a few levels in there that eventually could push euro dollar to the upside. If by any chance price starts breaking lower, then that's a different story. On the way down, this was during the ECB when you had this slow move to downside. You can see on the 5 minutes time frame, everything in here is basically compressed. Eventually, if the euro dollar wants to retrace, I'm looking for this euro dollar actually to go closer to this level once again. So yeah, again, as I can see in here, I see a lot of compression already on the way down, which eventually can lead into a turn, and when that turn happens, can be actually quite quick, quite aggressive. Indeed, for example, that could be a move to happen on Wednesday with the PMI and the manufacturing services PMI, which could lead to, again, a good momentum just to go all the way through this compression in there. But before that, we'll see what's going to happen. First and foremost, does it hold this low, or is going to take the low and get somewhere into this structure in there? And from there, we'll see then what's going to happen after that. But there you go, right? So we're looking for that reversal. Again, euro dollar has been quite bullish for many weeks as well. Basically, since the end of June, beginning of July, that euro dollar has been quite bullish, and now we have a little bit of a retracement from those highs. Perfect. So yeah, it goes a little bit in alignment with the dollar index. Pound was the one that we were really looking for the reversal. So it started within this level, so it respected the structure. It created good PA around here, but we were looking already for the pound dollar to fake out that high. Like you remember, we had a few couple of supply levels in there that price could react from, and that's exactly eventually where this pound dollar end up reacting from. Initially, I could see the tendency for people to try to sell in there. Price respected the high. It created a little bit of a manipulation in here. It started breaking lows, so I could see many people being interested in trying to sell it in there, but that didn't happen. We actually had this quick fake out of the way. I'm not sure if this was 18, 19. Yeah, I don't remember if it was the unemployment of the CPI that we had this push up, and then we start having the push down in there. Pound is going to be the same thing. Now breaking this level, I'm looking to see how price may react from here. And what I'm going to be interested to look for this week is similar to what I mentioned on the S&P. So I'm going to be interested in see something around this level, or even fake out this high, something in here on the pound dollar that could eventually push price to another low. So it's going to depend, once again, where is this low going to be reacting from. If it's a really important structure without leaving any space to downside, maybe eventually you can go all the way and still fake out that level. If not, we can actually use around this level in here, around 1.3, kind of a nice round number somewhere in there that could eventually make price move to the downside or continue to move forward. I'll be surprised if you don't really fake out this level at least in there, if that's the intention. But that's exactly what I will be looking for. Again, the good compression in here on the pound dollar. So yeah, it can react maybe from that level in there. And after that it can maybe, yeah, and maybe retrace a little bit. Otherwise, we start looking for price to go and retest the previous highs again. So yes, mostly at this point looking for that trade. If you have been following the daily sessions that we have been doing, we are looking exactly for that reversal on the pound dollar. Again, we have a strong push upwards for a few weeks, and it was kind of super extended to the upside, and it was asking, almost screaming at this point, the need for some kind of retracement in here, and it happened. Perfect. So that's pound dollar. Euro pound on the opposite side, as we were also mentioning, it starts to turn. Right, so we end up faking out that low that you mentioned. Basically, we already had a few breaks to the upside in here and end up faking out that low one more time. That low that was already a fake out of the low on the left side, and since then now is starting to push upwards. It's another one that has been moving to downside for a couple of weeks, and now we have the turn, and the euro pound, it looks like it's starting to gain into a new dynamic in here. So we'll see what's going to happen. But it was another one that turned quite nicely in here. And yeah, can maybe react a little bit from that level and eventually can target a little bit this high. If it wants to eventually continue to push lower, of course it can. And it can still challenge a bit that level, and that's one of my favorites as well, somewhere in there. Yeah, so nice reaction from these left shoulders in here. Price basically bounced in there with something, reacted still from that level, and it moves higher. Looking at the Aussie pairs. Yep, so Euro Aussie, if you recall, you're looking for price for that compression, price reacted from it, and since then it's been moving down. Now, I was not really expecting price to just reverse from here, maybe one last fake out, but it didn't happen. Price just then feel all this compression, start breaking lows, and then it resumes to move down, and it's finally at this demand zone, however, that we also mentioned in here that could have been a target, since this level was quite important, that managed to break all these highs in here, and it was still fresh because this will never reacted from it in there. So that was a good target that we could aim for. We have a strong compression as well, so we'll see what's going to happen in here with this Aussie dollar within this demand zone. If something in there is going to or if price is going to react from there, or price eventually is going to take that level. And in here, because of all of a sudden everything is compressed as well, and price actually can start aiming even lower. So we could have a little bit of a retracement, and we'll see what's going to happen next in here on the Aussie dollar. The other Aussie pairs, it was the opposite, right? So we have a move to the upside on the Euro Aussie, which also can aim a little bit towards that level. And another one that is quite interesting in my opinion is the Pound Aussie. Okay, so Pound Aussie has been a bit more bullish comparing with the other ones, and we just fake out this high. We had a retracement, a price filled the target, so it respected this demand zone, and the expectation now is actually to continue to push higher, right? So in the bigger picture, what we're having here is an engulf to the upside. Price just took this important high. Price reacted from something in there. I don't think this is the final destination. I think price still wants to go slightly higher in here. So price went down, just respected normal demand zone, and there's a tendency, kind of, if I was about to bet in this case, I'll be looking for a continuation setup before eventually price maybe turns again. But that was a short opportunity that played out in here during the week, and then again respected the demand zone, and now it's kind of moving upwards again. It can even fake out slightly this low if it wants to into something in there before moving to the upside. But yeah, at this point, respecting all this structure as well. We'll see what's going to happen. We'll see if this this Pound Aussie are going to spend a little bit more time within this range. In my opinion, in the bigger picture, we are looking for price to resume the move to the upside before breaking everything in here. Aussie yen, there you go, resume the move to downside, another big move down, and it starts to turn a little bit or retrace a little bit. I don't think this is going to be the low. I think we are going to eventually start into a zone 3 type of a move. So I already mentioned the zone 2. Zone 2 is usually after you create the highs that you have a little bit of a range in here before maybe price resumes the move down. And the zone 3 is after you have that move down, we create that separation, usually kind of this gap in there, and we start eventually compressing from here to the downside until eventually we turn in there. Then that becomes zone 4, which then becomes zone 1, and the new cycle starts in there. So I think we are going to have a little bit of a zone 3 type of a move at around this level. Hey Bongani, thank you, man. Thanks for the comment, and welcome to the stream. How are you doing? So yes, zone 3 type of a move, it's going to be a little bit of a compression within these yen pairs. Targeting this low, I think that's natural. We do have a little bit of a few demand zones in there, so that was the first one, maybe a little bit in that one as well. But yeah, so again, we can even just retest this well first, maybe bounce a little bit before maybe resuming the move down. But yes, after such a big sell-off that we had on the yen pairs, I still was not interested in looking for reversals in here. I wanted to see a little bit more of weakness on the yen pairs, and now that we are doing that, we are getting closer to a potential level where we can start aiming for a little bit of a move to the upside in here. We are still waiting for more information from the BOG to confirm that actually it's ready to completely turn the cycle on the yen pairs. That's still going to be waited for the week after that, when you have the BOG meeting, which can lead into another interest rate hike. But until then, it was just a move from from that intervention from the Bank of Japan, but without the data to support the move in here. So we'll see what's going to happen somewhere around this level. So that's the Aussie yen. We can take a look at the other yen pairs, and this is the moment that I mentioned that we may start having a little bit of divergence again within the yen pairs. So as I mentioned, for the last 2 weeks, basically, all the yen pairs have been moving in alignment, but now may start to be a little bit of a separation between what the dollar yen is doing and then what the Aussie yen, the Euro yen, Pound yen, and so on are doing. This level in here, we mentioned about it, exactly this demand zone on the dollar yen was perfect. Unfortunately, it was overnight when it reacted from there, but it was a really good reaction from this demand zone, and we start turning a little bit from here. So as you can see, some of the other yen pairs are already close to these lows, but the dollar yen is actually moving to the upside in here. Why? Because of the move to the upside on the dollar. So let's see how price may react from this level. I'm just reading your comments, bro. I'm trying, even if it's hard. I'm pushing them. What is your struggle, man? What are you struggling with? Yeah, so good reaction, really good reaction from that level. Again, eventually could go slightly lower, but this was already a good level to expect. And now we are going to look for price to have a little bit of a reaction from here, or to challenge a bit more. So some kind of PI around this level on dollar yen can be interesting to aim for. So can have initially reaction from the lower edge in here, creating a little bit of PI in here. Already broke a low. We have that high, so breaking this low can mean that price actually wants to retest this level, but can even go slightly higher first before making that move. And from here you can maybe move again to the upside. So maybe this dollar yen can come back into a ranging market and maybe can spend the full week just around these levels in there. Yep, so that's something to look at. Euro yen slightly again moving a bit to the upside as well. So good reaction from that level. Eventually I'm looking for the euro yen to continue to push lower, to be honest, eventually to get closer to this level. But good initial reaction from that space. Again, fake out that low, that's usually a great target to look for. Again, that's another topic for another time. But yes, now again, looking to see how this euro yen may react from this level. Starts to compress, already reacted from this demand zone. Again, dollar yen didn't, but euro yen already reacted, right? So that's exactly the level that I'm talking about. This is the demand zone in there. Euro yen, dollar yen hasn't really reacted from it. This one didn't reacted from that level, but euro yen already reacted from here. So there's not exactly much more to look for in here on euro yen. And eventually, if this wants to push lower, eventually can go. But both of them, they still have this supply in there to look for. So that's something to look in there. Pound yen, same thing. Reacting from that level, already reacted from this level. Same situation where I'm looking for this pound yen to eventually resume the move to downside. I don't think this is going to be the last level. I think price eventually wants to go slightly lower, but there you go, a little bit of a reaction from here. So we'll see what's going to happen as well this week with the pound yen. Again, as I mentioned, I think it's going to be a bit more weighted now, depending on what the euro and the pound and so on are going to do. If the pound dollar is going to move down, maybe this pound yen as well is going to do and to follow the same thing. We have again the news, manufacturing PMI and services PMI that can be a good catalyst to push this pound yen, pound dollar and so on into one direction. And then CAD yen is another one. It's already retraced. CAD yen is slightly different. As you can see, CAD yen made a bigger move to the downside, and it's actually reacting from the wall. So this between all the yen pairs, CAD yen is the one that is maybe reacting from the best one, from the best level. Already made the full move or the full recovery towards these lows. Dollar yen is the second one. Dollar yen got really close into this mid range in there, which is really nice. And the other yen pairs are kind of still in the middle. So they have still more room to the downside comparing with this dollar yen and CAD yen as well in there. So that's something to consider. Really nice move. Again, it goes in alignment with the yen pairs, with the CAD pairs that I will show in a bit, which was a potential reversal on the CAD pairs in here. You're from South Africa. Great. How is the weather there this time? Is it winter there now, right? So you are in the opposite extremes in here. And why are you losing money? Any reason? Main reason that you find when you are reviewing your trades? What's the one thing that you actually see repeating that can lead into that into those losses? Is it not yeah, it's too cold. It's super warm in here in UK today and this weekend. Yeah, it's winter time in there. Is it not knowing where to take trades? Are you taking trades in wrong places? you don't really know what you are looking for. Like, what's the reason for you not to take those losses? Is it impatient? Is you have a loss and you just start revenge trading and you have like 2, 3, 4 losses in a row? Is it just one loss at a time? Like, what's the main reason for that? Yeah, so that's the end. So yeah, moving along, and we get into the CAD pairs, right? So dollar CAD, it was what we were looking for, right? So basically this week we talked about it. We're looking for price started to print this this reversal. It fake out the low. I was still looking for price to go slightly lower, but we start having this break to the upside already until we had the fake out and price starts to move, right? So again, the typical pattern, the reversal pattern occurring in here, break upwards, fake out the lows that we're looking for. Unfortunately, still not there. And then we start turning, breaks again the highs, confirmation price goes higher. A little bit of manipulation in here, in the middle, typical, until eventually price goes into the direction that we were looking for. Initial reaction from that Quasimodo, and then price just moved down, and now it's ranging a little bit in here. Personally, I'm still going to look for more kind of PI somewhere around this this level. So that's going to be interesting to look in here on the dollar CAD, especially where we're going to be on Wednesday when you have the interest rate decision from the Bank of Canada. If we do break above this high, we can start aiming to go slightly higher. Again, this high is still, yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah, basically CAD hasn't really managed to move away from this level for the last more than 1 year in here. So basically we are, yeah, what are you looking for? 1 second. Yeah, so basically the last 1 year we spent somewhere, like we spent all this time in here, and we are still kind of within this range. This price, again, I do like this level in there. If price by any chance eventually wants to go there, and that can lead into the massive sell opportunity. If price does react from that level, that would be, yeah, that would be the ideal level, to be honest. Picking out everything in here, so completely take everything in there, but that's still far away. That would still mean quite a lot of movement, a lot of moving here on the dollar CAD until it gets there. So first and foremost, let's see how price may react from this side, if there's going to be any break or not. The compression is quite aggressive. The highs in there, again, as I mentioned, was quite a quick turnaround, almost basically no PI around this high, which means that we may still want to go there one more time to create a little bit more of PI before turning. And maybe within this level, yeah, maybe there's still something in there that price could just fake out whatever high it reacted from and maybe react from there. So yeah, we'll see. Again, CAD pairs, I think that are going to still be on my radar for a potential short. CAD, dollar CAD can still maybe go higher, but the other ones, they are getting into really good positions, and they're going to look at them right now. If you want to have a one-to-one mentoring, was that the question? If that was a question, yes, I do provide one-to-one. Of course, it's at the cost, as it's normal to be. But yeah, let me know if that's something that you would like to see or to have. You can definitely walk me through your trades, can see what kind of performance you have been achieving, and definitely can help you to correct some of the mistakes that maybe you are making, or to get you a bit more of a better understanding of what you may be missing out at this point when you are analyzing the market. Yeah, we can. I can share. Text me privately, and we can talk to see how can we work together. How can we work together? What's the best way? Yeah. because again, can be many reasons, right? And I'm glad that actually mentioned that, because I'm asking the questions, but to actually get to the root of the problem, we'll need a more detailed conversation to actually understand the best way that we could that I could help you with whatever issues you are having with your trades. EuroCAD. So EuroCAD is the one that we're looking already, starting to look for shorts, right? So beginning of the week it was here, it was another leg up, and you're getting closer to this level. So we did mention that this high in here was basically reacting from the extreme of the compression in there, and as soon as we break that high, there's a high probability that we'll fill out this range in there and get closer to that level. And that's exactly what happened. As soon as EuroCAD broke the highs, we move to the upside in there and we start turning. Now, personally, I still think that we are in the phase 3 type of a move now on the EuroCAD. And phase 3 type of a move is exactly now to start showing weakness, to start showing compression. Price will not maybe just turn immediately from there. We actually may have a little bit of ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs to show a little bit more of weakness until potentially price gets closer to these highs in there. That's a little bit of more of the level that I'm looking for on the EuroCAD before aiming for a short, with the potential to even fake out this high in here and even get closer to that level in there. But for now, I think there's still enough potential levels in there that price can retrace in here. Looking in terms of longs, we can have this demand zone somewhere in here that price can react from and push higher. So again, any shorts that could have happened this week, it would be a target, it would have been this one. Like just the simple retest of support resistance or aiming a little bit more into the demand zone, but the safest one, it will be here. So that basically the move that you predicted as well during the week when you did the live streams, and good move and good reaction. But again, bigger picture, I'm still looking for price to slowly go higher, go up, go down, kind of create a little bit of manipulation around these levels before we have a turn in here. It's another pair that has been quite bullish for a long period of time now, basically since the beginning, for a month now. Basically, we had a big rally in here on EuroCAD, pound CAD as well, as you'll see, which means that we may be getting closer to potential turn. And with the interest rate change, which can happen on Wednesday, that can be a good trigger as well to eventually move lower. Yes, I do like that level. I do like that level in there on the EuroCAD in here. Yeah, so text me on Twitter, or I can share with you. 1 second. I shouldn't be doing this, but give me a second. Shouldn't be doing this. If you have Discord, just add me. Add me on Discord. That's my username. All right. Yeah, so it's EuroCAD. Pound CAD goes into the same. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'll add you as soon as you invite. I'll add you. And then we have pound CAD, which goes into the same thing. Like, so we were looking for that sell opportunity. It reacted perfectly from the highs in there. So we were looking for price to still fake out a little bit of this structure. And there you go. Big push up, start to show a little bit of, again, manipulation there, just a big push to the upside. Reacted perfectly from that level on the left. And from there, it just starts moving down. Right, so that's a perfect reaction. So pound CAD actually is reacting from a perfect level. Doesn't really need to create new highs, but it can still do it. We did manage to break below this level, respected this demand zone, similar to the pound dollar, pound CAD. I'm curious to see what's going to happen around this level. We already had this big spike up and then push down. That was on Friday. In there, we do have a little bit of that level, and you have maybe a few others in here at the highs. So at this point, to start giving a bit more of direction in here that price wants to go lower, I would like actually to see this walls being broken one more time, and then we may have that move. So we just created this high. This high eventually is going to be used to as manipulation. I'm expecting eventually this high to be faked out in here. Let's see if we do break the lows first, just to give a bit more intention that you actually want to go lower from here. So eventually I'm going to be looking for price to fake out something in there, could again create a bit more to the downside, and eventually it's going to come back here, and yeah, something like that can happen, and price can just move down, or eventually challenge a bit more into that level. Or if by any chance price does end up respecting these lows in here, we do have this left shoulder into this demand zone. So if by any chance pound CAD actually starts moving upwards from here, so that's a different story, and we can actually aim to the highs, and we can actually take the highs eventually in there. So that's going to be interesting. Pound CAD, pound dollar, they are quite a little bit in alignment at this point in terms of what I want to see somewhere in there. Even though pound CAD, we do have the interest rate on Canada, so that's going to be a moment where we have different type of movement on the pound CAD on that specific day. Can we go even higher? Can we actually even fake out this high? We can. Like we can get slightly more into something either in there or even closer to that level. We definitely can. But this high in here is already a fake out of all this structure, so that's already a good high to expect some reaction from, and we already had it, which means that you don't really need to see a fake out of this high. But if price does want it to continue to push slightly higher, then we are going to aim a bit more to the upside in here. Yeah, somewhere in there. All right. Yeah, because overall, good turn. Again, you start turning in there, good reaction, and price just start moving lower in here. Perfect. Dollar franc Swiss. All right, so it made the move down, it faked out that level, and I was looking in there. All right, so last week I mentioned I was looking for price to fake out this low and get into this demand zone, and that one could be also reaction, but price paused in the middle. It didn't really made that last push down, just fake out the low without properly reacting from there, and it started moving to the upside. Again, we do have the supply level. I think that can be a good level eventually to see dollar franc Swiss to react from, or eventually somewhere in there. So depending on the PI that we have, may have a little bit of a continuation here, maybe take some lows, create a bit of momentum like this, and eventually, yeah, if something like that happens, perfect. Otherwise may go slightly higher. Yeah, let's see how price approaches eventually this level in there. This point looks like the natural level for these ones to move towards. We already had a big kind of this move. This was with the opening candle, but it already took the orders basically from this demand zone. So this is already weak in here, which means that eventually when price does turn, can just break completely everything in here and it move lower. Again, don't forget, we did manage to break below this low, which means that we actually might continue to move to the downside in here, and you didn't really get to the extreme in there. So I could still see a bit more of a move to the downside in here, which can go in alignment with the dollar index. Gold. There you go. Gold took the highs and it fake out, broke that level, respect support resistance, and it pushed the downside. And now it's back at this level. I'm curious to see how gold may react from here. Again, the last day or so has been quite negative, so it's maybe close to a potential retracement a little bit in here. Compressed as well, and again similar. I'm going to be interested to see what's going to happen on gold somewhere around this structure. So as you can see, price is behaving quite similar in several assets. The indices, pound dollar, for example. Gold in this situation as well, like where you had good highs, and I'm going to be interested to see what's going to happen when price gets closer or retraces back into that level, to see if there's going to be a continuation or price actually just does the opposite. So this is one of the levels. Let's fake out that low. Price can react a little bit from here, and there's some kind of reaction on gold in here. Is price ready to then resume to move to the upside? Maybe. That's actually going to be the next video I'm going to make, how to trade all-time highs. I already touched on that point, on that topic, back in February, March, or something like that. But I'm going to do a another video explaining a little bit better exactly the levels. We already did that session with the guys in the community, but I'm going to do another one because we continue to be in those periods, and that's quite important in here. So yeah, let's see on gold, and then oil. I'm a bit upset with oil as well. That was a great short opportunity on the retest of that level. We broke the lows. Right, we broke the lows in there. Beautiful reaction from the supply. However, my data was different in several servers, and that created confusion to me. In some of them, price was reacting from this level. In some others, actually, price was reacting from the perfect level, and I ended up not trusting any of them. And since then, price actually reacted perfectly from the level that I initially was looking for. In reality, we didn't go to the downside as well. And at this point on oil, I think we can resume. We can get closer to this level in here, and if not even pushing more downside, because we respected this high, and from there we can definitely retest something in here. I think to 75 mark. Before that, we can of course retrace one more time and continue to push a bit more like this. Even Brent as well, which also reacted perfectly from that level, and at this point maybe aiming towards this can be quite expected, and if not even more. But yeah, let's see what's going to happen in here on oil. Again, it's been a few days moving or pushing to downside. Let's see if there's any initial reaction from there or not, or if there's going to be something in here. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen in here, if there's going to be more continuation. But it was a really good setup on oil as a continuation. Then price just broke lows, retest, and continue to push forward. And that's it basically. That's it for this week in terms of bigger picture. We have dollar, which is going to be interesting to see if it's going to hold the lows and push higher, or it's going to resume and continue the bearish move after the retracement for the last few days. We're going to have important news, mostly starting from Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday with the core PCE. Indices, I'm really curious to see if we're going to manage to hold the highs, or there's going to be a big U-turn again and challenging the highs one more time, or it's going to be a momentum, kind of a second week momentum to downside. That's going to be quite bearish, to be honest. That's going to be quite a bearish signal to the market if you do have another big weekly negative bearish candle in here. Like if you do have a little bit of a retracement, as I'm expecting, somewhere mid of the week or start away from the beginning, and then if you resume to move to downside, that can scare many people in the market and start thinking about a short-term bearish move in here on the indices, with NASDAQ as well following that exactly move in there. So that's going to be interesting to see how price may eventually get to this level, and if we are going to aim or not all the way back to this level. Yeah, so the indices is that. The dollar, again, as I mentioned, are you going to eventually resume the move to downside, respecting the break of these lows? I think that's going to happen, with the euro moving slightly more to the upside. BTC is quite bullish. Are you going to carry on and get at least to 70k? I think that could be reasonable. Eventually aim back towards 70k, if not even then challenging for the highs, but one step at a time. And we can compress in here as well, so it can go up and down, up and down. What else? Oil slightly lower. The N pairs are maybe close to a potential retracement as well. Yeah, that's basically it. I think that's basically it. No, that's not Instagram, and that was Discord. On Instagram, I think if you check the links, on the underneath on the description, and it should be there. It should be there. 1 second. Oh, oops, this is, even though Instagram, I don't really use Instagram, to be honest. It's something that I need to use more. Yeah, this is, yeah, if you want to find me on Twitter or Instagram, just look for that. All right. Bongani, nice to meet you, man. Have you been following for a while, or is just recent? Is something new? Yeah. All right. So welcome. How did you find me? It's going on YouTube. That's good to know. Thank you for your comment. Yeah, join me. Let's have, again, text me. We can talk. We can see how we can work together. At the same time, I'm starting going live basically every day, so you're going to be able to see me more often. Just trying to look for good opportunities in the market. But if you do want to have a more detailed overview of what you are doing, we can work together, right? That's actually that's something that I love to do, is actually to have one-to-one mentoring sessions and to understand and to help traders. So if that's something that you are interested, let's talk and maybe we can figure out something together. Yeah. Thanks, man. Enjoy your Sunday. What time is it in there? Is it a big difference? The time zone? South Africa. It's afternoon. All right. We're looking at 4 hours difference. Is it 3:30 now? 35. So it's 1 hour afterwards. What am I looking at then? Yeah, it's correct. It's correct. It's 1 hour. Okay. Okay. Got it. All right. Perfect. Yeah, I've never been in South Africa. It's actually one of the countries in Africa that I'm curious to visit. I've never been in Africa, to be honest. Yeah. Neither Africa or Asia. I've never been any of those continents. Yeah, one day. All right, thank you. I'll see you. Yeah, text me and we'll. Otherwise, we'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Thank you again, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye bye. Thank you.